Mexico is preparing for an influx of migrants from the United States as part of the Trump administration's mass deportation initiative. According to Breitbart, Mexican military forces have begun building a large-scale migrant detention center in the border town of Matamoros. Members of the Mexican Navy began this week sealing and fencing off the rarely used municipal stadium that is expected to house a large number of migrants. And just this morning, White House Press Secretary Carolyn Leavitt announced that the deportation flights have begun. Here's a photo from the White House posted by Fox News of people boarding a military aircraft to be flown out of the country. A quote from Leavitt says this: President Trump is sending a strong and clear message to the entire world. If you illegally enter the United States of America, you will face severe consequences. School bus drivers in Worcester, Massachusetts, second largest city there, were instructed Wednesday to keep children on the vehicle if immigration officers were present at bus stops. According to the Daily Wire, the notice came in the form of a letter from Massachusetts officials, including Democrat Governor Maura Healey. It promised to resist President Trump's mass deportation efforts in the so-called sanctuary state. CBS reported that Worcester Public School District also said it would not cooperate with ICE officers without warrants signed by a federal judge. The Daily Wire reported Logan Tripiano, a Massachusetts Republican Party spokesperson, said that the district was creating fake scenarios to promote fear, adding, quote, "It's clear that ICE is targeting violent criminals, not children. This political posturing is stoking unnecessary fear and deliberately misrepresenting what is actually happening on the streets." Another Democrat, Denver Mayor Mike Johnson, said Wednesday the city would work with immigration and customs enforcement in regards to violent criminals.
Our practice here in Denver is we do and will collaborate on violent criminals. If ICE reaches out to us about someone we have in custody, we're going to release them. We notify them. They can pick them up.
Newsmax reported the mayor said local law enforcement would not be doing ICE's job for them. He also emphasized Denver would protect schools, hospitals, and churches, indicating Denver's values wouldn't change under President Donald Trump. Quote, "We want to be both a welcoming city and a city that serves all of our residents. We're not going to be bullied or blackmailed into changing our policies, but we think our policies serve everyone well right now." Previously, Johnson had suggested preventing ICE from entering the city for the purpose of deporting illegal immigrants. Mike?
Craig, as for the latest on the confirmation hearings for the Trump administration nominees on Thursday, former director of national intelligence in the first Trump administration, John Ratcliffe, was confirmed and sworn in to be CIA director. He is the second cabinet member to be confirmed after Secretary of State Marco Rubio. Also on Thursday, Defense Secretary nominee Pete Hegseth cleared a hurdle. In a test vote of 51-49, the Senate moved to invoke cloture and bypass a filibuster. Final vote on the military veteran is expected to take place today or tomorrow. A vote is also expected by the full Senate by Sunday for Department of Homeland Security nominee South Dakota Governor Kristi Noem. Now, if you would like to contact your senator about the Trump cabinet nominees, you can call this number, 202-244-3121. Once again, 202-244-3121. Also on Thursday, in an executive order, Donald Trump kept a campaign promise to release the government's classified records related to the JFK, RFK, and Martin Luther King assassinations. The order gives his attorney general and director of national intelligence 15 days to put together a plan to release the files involving the assassination of John F. Kennedy. They have 45 days to unveil a plan to release the classified files regarding the Robert F. Kennedy and Martin Luther King assassinations. Another executive order announced by the president on Thursday pardoned a number of abortion activists convicted of blockading clinic entrances. All right, joining us now is wallbuilders.com president, Victory News contributor Tim Barton. Tim, we finally saw a little movement on Trump nominees with the confirmation of John Ratcliffe as director of the CIA. He intends to reform the agency and depoliticize it, but he says his first goal is to determine what the agency knows about COVID leaking from a lab in Wuhan, China. Is this a good first target, do you think, Tim?
Well, I think what the message he's sending is very positive. That the fact that there's going to be accountability, that people that have been dishonest and done dishonest things, they're not just going to throw the blanket over it, right, the rug over the dirt and pretend like nothing ever happened. So I think it is good that he's taking this first step because it does, again, send a clear message, a shot over the bow, so to speak, that there is going to be accountability, which is exactly why Trump put these nominees there, is to try to get some of this deep state nonsense, this dishonesty that's been going on in these agencies back under control. And this is probably a good start.
He's trying to shake things up, that's for sure. Now, ICE made nearly 500 arrests of illegal immigrants who've committed crimes, including in Chicago. Illinois Governor Pritzker responded to the actions taken by ICE agents this week and the president's order.
We will stand up for anybody who is standing up for the law. We follow the law in the state of Illinois. I'm very concerned that Donald Trump and the federal government is not going to be following the law.
Tim, Pritzker said this is all about chaos and confusion, not accomplishing something. What's your take on this pushback from blue state governors like him?
Yeah, I think they're pushing back because they recognize this is an indictment on their failure as leaders. The irony that he says in Chicago or in Illinois, we follow the law, and you have Chicago, right? One of the cities where there's the most violent crime, there's the most gangs, there's the most trouble, and you presume to say you follow the law. It's incredibly dishonest, but that's just a Democrat politician being a politician and trying to push back, even though the majority of Americans, even CNN polling identified, it's over 54%, 55, 56%, depending on the poll, of Americans that support what President Trump is doing in this initiative and these deportations. So this is just Democrats trying to defend themselves from their indefensible positions.
It's in President Trump's order to end birthright citizenship is already tied up in the courts. Listen to this citizen on TikTok explain what birthright citizenship is like to her.
That sounds like to me, when I break it down, if I come in your house at 9 months pregnant and have my baby in the middle of your flow, I get rights to your house. So I know you own this house, but I got parts of your house too now. My baby is a part of owning your home because I had her in the middle of your living room flow.
So does this metaphor for birthright citizenship work for you, Tim, and will the president prevail on this issue?
Yeah, I think that metaphor was spot on. That was such a great example. And I do think the president has a great chance to prevail in this. Of course, we knew there was going to be challenges already, but where there's a major disconnect, even from people's understanding, is the idea, what Trump said in signing the executive order, is that what we are doing is not what the Constitution says, and no other nation is doing it like we're doing. What the Constitution says in the 14th Amendment is that if you are born in the United States, you have a right of citizenship. However, the context is this came after the Civil War. It was 1868. And there were slaves in America. Many of them have been kidnapped and brought illegally to America. And so when slavery was ended, the Civil War is over, they were given the option, hey, if you want to stay here, you can become a U.S. citizen. You can have all the rights, or you can go home to wherever you were taken from. That's the context behind it. It's not what's happening today, as mentioned, with people that are traveling into America for the weekend, having babies, and then the whole family gets to be a U.S. citizen because they had a baby here. That violates the spirit of the 14th Amendment.